Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill. I'm talking to you today about two indicators that kind of tie together. EOT Pro Patty B, named after a client of ours who was a very, very good trader, loved to trade the Russell, and the EOT Pro Matter indicator, which is the one on the bottom with the little boxes. So these indicators are fairly old. They've been around for a long, long time. However, still are pretty popular. People seem to really like them. So let's just take a look at what they do. Here you can see a green bias line here. This is the Patty B indicator we're talking about. And what it did is it tied in a bunch of the indicators that Patty was very, very interested in trading. And she loved to trade the moving average, type of paint bar. She liked to use cycles. She liked to use volume. She liked to use the MACD. She liked to use bar time. She liked to use ATRs. She liked to use all that stuff. And so all of that stuff was tied in to this indicator right here, the Patty B. And you can see these little green dots right here are the entry signals for her trading methodology. So if you would see a little green arrow, a little green dot here, you would get in. If you would see a little red dot there, you would get in short. You'd see a little red dot there, you'd get in short. Now, you know, a lot of the trading landscape has changed since this indicator was built. However, it is still pretty relevant. One of the cool things is this indicator, EOT Pro Matter, just uses cycles analysis to determine when to get in and out of the market. So it was pretty cool because when this box turns from red to green, that would be the entry here, and then here would be the entry short, and then here the first box would be the entry long. And so what ended up happening was we took it kind of melded themselves together. We kind of put them on top of each other like this, where each one of them was kind of confirming the other. And it was kind of interesting at times because when you see consensus between these two indicators to go long, you would end up having some pretty nice moves in the market. I mean, you're looking at cycles and MACD and a whole bunch of analysis tied in together, and you can see when they didn't agree, you could see the Patty B had green dots here. Let me just expand this a little bit. You can see we had green dots, but cycle analysis was negative, so that would negate that short trade. This short trade would also be negated here. And so with this one, oh, this one actually was a short trade. So when that first dip down happened. But on this uptrend, you can see that these little dots would have had you in at a pretty nice time, and you could have stayed in through this whole move because you had a green bias up. So it was interesting. She used to trade this more on range bars, more so than Summers bars, which would have made it a little bit more sensitive. Let me just change this over to range bars right now. We can see what it looked like. Range, oops, range, 4 range on ES. Let's take a look. So here we go. A little bit more relevant, a little bit faster to turn, a little bit quicker on the short moves. Didn't do too bad of a job. Didn't do too bad of a job. Still quite popular with some of our clients. Still quite popular. Let's take a look at some of the inputs and what do they do. First of all, we have the Patty B indicator, where we can see the box size, which actually meant how many times after the bias line turned green. After that, how many signals did you want to see? Then we had the cycle moving average length, and you can see the length of the moving average is set pretty high. It's set to 21. Then we had some input for a paint bar, which was set at 6. Again, these are pretty long inputs. You can turn this down to 10. That would have a pretty dramatic input on the impact on the indicator. Maybe 4 there. We had cycles set to 2 and 4. That's another fairly long input. We can turn down the cycles. Um, the jazz adjust and the jazz adjuster were also other cycles. Then the MACD, I don't even know what the MACD does, but I can see that inside the MACD there were some pretty long moving averages in here. And I don't know what they do because I don't use the MACD. So, and then we had time, time adjustment. This was a very interesting input inside this indicator, in that if the bars were taking too long, the indicator would kind of speed itself up to try to take into account that the market was moving very slow. So it was actually quite adaptive. It was actually pretty cool. So I just turned this thing down. I made it a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive. You can see that these entries along these dots here were a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more early to entry. So this boxy thing looking here, this one is known as the matter indicator, and it is purely a cycle indicator. So if we turn this down to 1 from 2, we can see that there's definitely faster reactions from cycles. Cycles and volume are two things that a lot of traders don't use at all when trading. And it's something that you should definitely consider as confirmation to your signals. So that's why these two indicators kind of ended up being friends with one another, so to speak. That's why they were kind of overlaid, because different types of cycle analysis, different types of volume analysis, all of that stuff was kind of tied in here. So that's the EOT Patty B and the EOTPRO Matter. Simpler technology for perhaps a simpler time in trading. You be the judge. Thanks for listening, everybody.